All right. So, guys, this is the last leg of the workshop, the four workshops. And then, of course, we're going to have those two live interaction session as well, which are going to be some time in the weekdays. Most likely, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday. We'll figure that slot out and communicate with you guys. But the last leg of the overall process, and let me just recap the whole thing to you, right? That the four major uh, islands, if I may say so, the four major islands that we decided we need to take into account, or we need to build ourselves on, to ensure that we are really on the right path to become a great data leader or a data scientist. Out of those four islands, you have seen that how business problem solving and the problem solving skills in general, like, or a framework to solve problems, or uh, business acumen, or the capability to understand a particular domain, how that is like super critical to basically even create a problem statement, right? Like, without that, you will not even have a problem statement. And we saw the entire process that happens before even data comes into play, right? Data comes on at a later stage. And now we know exactly where data fits in. And then, of course, when the moment the data comes into play, we saw yesterday, using some live data real quick, that okay, how can, even using Excel, basically we could do a lot of number crunching, right? And number crunching is basically what gives us the capability to draw insights. It's not Python programming, but number crunching is the key skill that gives us the capability to work with data and draw out a lot of insights with data. And if you guys, if you guys can like spend 10 hours on Excel, then you can do magic. Like, I know a lot of people who are getting paid like 15 to 18 to 20, even 25 lakhs a year, and they work solely on Excel, only on Excel, nothing else. So there's a great deal of analytics that can happen on Excel that we saw yesterday in our math and stats session. And then after that, once we figured out that, okay, how do I work with numbers? How do I make numbers work for me? And how do I figure out what kind of number crunching can I do to get certain insights? All of that we figured out, and then we realized that, okay, yeah, I can crunch numbers. That's one thing, but another key thing that I really need to work on is the scale, right? Because I will not always be able to work with numbers in an Excel workbook, right? The moment, like, let's say you have like 10,000 customer transactions, okay, you're working with an Excel workbook. But the moment you want to do something really advanced, the moment you want to work with, let's say, daily database, where like every day you are having 20,000 transaction coming from, let's say, Shopper Stop stores across the country, every day you are having 20,000 transactions coming in, for example, that data will become impossible for you to handle in Excel, right? And more importantly, the advanced stuff, right? The beauty, the magic of programming and algorithms that you can utilize if you use a programming language, all of that you will miss if you only work with Excel. So that's why we brought programming, and that's where programming comes into play, right? That why does one need programming to analyze businesses? And the sole reason for that is fundamentally that programming lets you work at a scale which is unimaginable for your human brain or any other tool otherwise without programming. And more importantly, the speed, the sophistication, the complexity of the problems that you can solve with programming is like really, really amazing. So there's no doubt that Excel can do a lot, but there's also no doubt that programming can do 10x more than what Excel can accomplish. So to understand the analytics, to implement analytics, to understand how to use numbers, probably you can start off with Excel and like tackle one problem at a time. So like if you don't want to get too much into programming to begin with, you can start with Excel, do lots of analysis with Excel, do pivot tables, do you can create all sorts of charts, visualization, dashboards, all of that you can do in Excel, and even macros you can write using VBA. So Excel in itself is self-sufficient if you look at it. But then programming comes into play when you want to make things really easy for you, very simple. Advanced machine learning stuff, all of that you will definitely be able to do very easily in Python compared to an Excel, right? So we looked at that, and then we come to the final leg of this journey where we say that, okay, hey, I understood how to get the problem framed, and I understood how to use numbers, and then how to even use programming to make my number crunching easier and make my modeling process easier in general. But now the most important thing that connects it all, right, is the communication and managing all the stakeholders. So when you actually go inside a company, right, when you step inside a company, what's going to happen? Anyone has any idea why communication will play a role here? Some stuff I think we discussed already, right? Can you guys tell me something on that? This session is not very long, so I would wait actually in this one for you guys to speak up and understand what I'm talking about. So where does communication come into play from a data science consulting point of view? So Asmit says that the way we speak and the words we use are very important. So that's Asmit. And another thing, guys, I hope there's no doubt or confusion in your minds that this session is not just about data science consulting. This session is in general about communication, right? Like, of course, I'll focus on data science, but I guess you understand that communication is the key, right? In families, in relationships, in friendships, the way people perceive you, right? Have you heard someone saying that, okay, the guy looks good, but the moment he opens his mouth, it's all gone? Have you ever heard someone say something like that? Or you must have gossiped like that about someone at some point, right? So try to understand this thing, that going a little bit deeper, right? Just taking a step back, that us as human beings, we have some thoughts in there, right? And the only way that we differ from an animal is our capability to think in a very complex manner and communicate the same. Isn't it one of the biggest differences between us and any animal? Otherwise, rest of the stuff everyone does, right? Eat, sleep, poop, move around, having limbs, all that everyone does. Even a dog does that. The biggest difference that we have as human beings is our capability to perceive and process complex thoughts and emotions, and also communicate them effectively with people. That's the biggest thing that we have different from animals. So now when you look at it, right, now given this, of course it's pretty obvious that this skill, every human being, like, as a differentiator between a human and an animal, the biggest skill is the way you communicate. And the better you communicate, the more clear it is that you are an evolved species, right? That's the fundamental to it.